So polite. So organized. So manipulative. Everyone around seemed uplifted. The donations gave them a sense of hope. They felt connected, united. But Han Feng? He knew better. That feeling of unity? It was temporary. Fleeting. As Brotherly headed back upstairs, Han Feng's eyes caught someone familiar. It was her. That clumsy nurse from the hospital. The same one who was there when he broke his leg. She was bundled up in a fuzzy winter onesie. Arms struggling under a stack of boxes. Then, she stumbled. Just a second more, and she'd have hit the floor. But Han Feng reacted. Fast. Steady hands caught her just in time. Startled and blushing, she looked up. Grateful. Then her eyes narrowed, recognition dawning. Wait, your leg. You weren't supposed to be walking like that. Realizing he'd acted before thinking it through, Han Feng froze. His mind scrambled for a way out. He stammered, trying to explain. Something about always healing fast since he was a kid. But with all the nervous gestures. Yeah, it wasn't convincing at all. Luckily, the nurse wasn't exactly the sharpest. She didn't pick up on anything strange. Instead, she just admired how amazing his recovery was. Trying to shift the moment, Han Feng offered to carry her boxes. She hesitated at first. Said they were heavy. But Han Feng insisted. It took a little convincing. But eventually, she handed them over. And the moment he grabbed them, his eyes widened. They were way heavier than he expected. Unnaturally heavy. Curious, he asked what was inside. Medical supplies, she explained. Donations for people in need. She admitted they might be a little too heavy. And said she could carry them herself if needed. But honestly, Han Feng didn't mind. With a woman this beautiful and kind, he'd carry double the weight and still be smiling. She teased him a bit, saying she's stronger than most guys. Told him not to overdo it. When Han Feng asked if she'd always been this strong, her expression shifted. There was something behind that question. Some kind of weight. She gave a vague answer. Said there was a reason behind her strength. And quickly apologized. Something had happened recently. Something she couldn't explain. And by now, they'd been walking for a while. Still, she didn't even know his name. So, Han Feng introduced himself, politely. In return, the angelic nurse smiled and said, I'm Jean Shui. That smile. It left Han Feng speechless. But then she asked what he did for work. And well, he told her the truth, he was unemployed. Oof. So close to scoring, and he fumbled it. But just then, perfect timing or terrible timing. An impatient passerby bumped into them. Nurse Jean lost her balance and stumbled. Right into Han Feng. Her soft chest pressed right up against his arm. He froze. Completely motionless. Zero riz. Just vibes. Jean immediately pulled back, flustered, and apologized. Han Feng tried to play it cool, said it was no problem. It could have been a perfect first meeting. Until she showed up. Huina. Dragging herself forward like a sleepless zombie. Cold, hungry, and bitter. A walking parasite. She threw herself on Han Feng like she owned him. Rubbing her chest against his arm with a fake smile. Then she asked. Who's the pink-haired girl? A friend? Jean immediately pulled the boxes back from Han Feng. Clearly feeling awkward. She just wanted to log her donations. And avoid getting caught in drama. Han Feng watched her walk away with regret. Then turned to Huina and asked. What are you doing down here? She claimed she was looking for supplies. And that she'd been worried about him. He scratched his head, said he was just about to message her. She called him a liar. You seemed pretty happy talking to that girl. Then came the real reason she was there. She asked if he had extra food at home. Said she was running out. But instead of getting angry, Hanfeng just smiled. Still acting like her loyal simp. He told her that he didn't have much either, but could spare some if she started replying to his messages again. Then, just like that, he wrapped his arm around her waist and asked, "Wanna stay at my place for a few days?" Caught off guard, the witch stuttered. Pushed him away. Tried to keep her act together. "Let's just talk online," she said, dodging the question with a fake smile. Hanfeng turned around, ready to walk away. But she stopped him. "Wait." She said he'd changed. That she had always been serious about her feelings. With the saddest puppy eyes she could fake. Huina said she didn't want people to think she was only with him for his money. She needed more time to think about something serious. He blushed. For a second, he almost believed her. But then, he remembered. She'd already killed him once. He wanted nothing more than to tear that mask off her face. Still, there was one problem. He didn't know who the man behind her betrayal was. Then again, why go looking? Last time, she brought the guy to him on her own. This time, he'd just be ready. They may have a steel bat. But Hanfeng? He's got a sniper rifle now. So instead of pushing, he played it cool. "TCH, I was just teasing you." Huina looked embarrassed. She'd gone all in on the acting. For nothing. But Hanfeng smiled again. Told her he'd wait for her message. Then he'd bring over some food. They said goodbye. She even told him to message her if he wanted to talk about anything. As she walked away, a wicked smile slowly formed on her face. But this time, she wasn't the one doing the playing. 2 days passed. No message from Hanfeng. But Huina's phone, blowing up with her own angry texts. Where's the food? Why is he ignoring her? Meanwhile, Hanfeng was enjoying a hot steak dinner with a fizzy drink. Nothing beats a good meal while making the witch who killed you suffer. And now that he'd finally figured out how to make the perfect, mouth-watering meat, it was game over. While the world froze outside, he was sweating in a bathrobe like an absolute Chad. But don't get it twisted. He wasn't just lounging around. He was preparing. Over the past few days, Hanfeng had been running one experiment after another. And the results? They confirmed 2 important things. First, his meat supply wasn't infinitely expandable. But second, and far more interesting, meat, like soybeans, could still be reproduced endlessly using the right method. With a mix of red and green light, he had already produced pounds of steak. The process was simple. From every full harvest of beans, he'd use half to plant again, and eat the other half. The same logic applied to steak. Half a steak and a handful of soybeans produced a full steak. Repeat the process, and boom. Unlimited food. Unlimited steak. After dozens of tests, Hanfeng was sure he wouldn't have to worry about good meals again. Meanwhile, the outside world was collapsing. TV stations were still broadcasting news, trying to make sense of the unprecedented snowstorm. Now on its 19th day. It was August 2nd, yet even tropical paradises like the Maldives were buried under layers of snow and ice. Average temperatures there had plummeted to minus 42 degrees Celsius. The oceans were literally freezing, visible to the naked eye. Experts reported 55 centimeters of sea ice around the islands. And it wasn't just the Maldives. Other equatorial regions were suffering the same fate. Watching the broadcasts from his luxurious entertainment center, Hanfeng scoffed. The media was downplaying it. He knew the real situation was even worse. Just as he took a sip of red wine, A loud noise outside made him jump. He rushed to the window. Curtains drawn. In the distance, a building on fire. The 7th explosion this week. Han Feng had no idea what was causing them. But he knew one thing for sure. This was bad. To make matters worse, the number of military helicopters in the sky was increasing. If Han Feng was in the dark, then so was everyone else. Panic was spreading fast. Most residents had started camping in the basement car park, trading for food, supplies. Survival. And when survival is on the line, greed flourishes. Conflicts were breaking out. People were exploiting each other. And chaos ruled the underground space. At the center of it all was Mr. Jiang, still playing the role of the noble leader, offering resources for free to those in need. Today was different, though. Han Feng himself decided to go down. The cold slapped him the second he left home. Every time he stepped outside, he instantly regretted it. But this wasn't about charity. He came down for information. Last time around, in his previous life, he remembered a rebellion breaking out in this very neighborhood. If memory served him right, the root of it all was down here, in this exact basement. The committee's promises of fair sharing were still holding, for now. But Han Feng wanted to see how long it would last. Lines were long at the resource counter. One man in particular was yelling, angry that he was given so little despite donating several large boxes. Mr. Jiang calmly insisted. Everyone gets the same share. 1 can of food. 1 sausage. That's it. The man demanded his own supplies back. But of course, the committee refused. The disaster wasn't over. There was no refund policy. Jiang tried the bigger picture speech again, promising to repay him in cash once things returned to normal. But let's be honest. What's a promise worth in the middle of a snow-covered apocalypse? Others in line began to chime in, shaming the man, telling him to stop whining and be grateful. And just like that, the mob had a new enemy. The committee's influence was strong. Han Feng could see the hypocrisy clearly. People who donated early were now getting punished by the very system they helped sustain. But before he could roll his eyes too hard, he spotted someone familiar. The legend himself. Brotherly, aka the half-homeless gangster, made another appearance. And he looked terrible. Pale. Frail. Clearly starving. It had been days since the Gun brothers last crossed paths. Lee claimed he was fine, but the cold tremble in his hands said otherwise. Eventually, he admitted the truth. He'd been suppressing his hunger with just water. No food left. Turns out, he had donated nearly everything. Back when the committee first started. He trusted them. But they gave too little in return. If only he had known. Feeling generous, Han Feng whispered a small deal into his ear. He offered 4 packs of instant noodles and 2 sausages, in exchange for a simple favor. Brotherly blinked, staring at him in disbelief. To him, it sounded like Han Feng just wanted an excuse to help him out. Moved to the brink of tears, Brotherly promised to handle the task without issue. As for the food, he'd pick it up from Han Feng's place later. But right now, he really needed something in his stomach. He shuffled into the ration line with the others. Han Feng, meanwhile, was grinning inside. For a few noodles and sausages, he now had his own little info agent. No more freezing basement visits. He could stay in, eat well, and play games in peace. That is, until someone else spotted him. Han Feng. A palm whipped across his face before he could even brace. A slap. Sharp and unexpected. Huina. Her hello today came with fire in her eyes. Apparently, Han Feng had disappointed her again.